Every child that is born into this world is born almost perfect, top of the range Rolls Royce. It is the world, us, the environment, and everything that detune some of those children. Some children will be in a position to go ahead and be those top of the range Rolls Royces for the rest of their lives. But some children, as I say, they'll be detuned into, say, 1 liter Toyota Corolla. And how does this happen? Let's take two children. These two children have the same thing in common. As children, maybe they were not seen, or they were not heard, or they were neglected, or overindulged, or even overloved. And in a worst case scenario, maybe even abused or traumatized. So these two children, one of them will say, look, I grew under this kind of a situation, and I'm going to ensure that it does not happen to me again. Tit for tat. So that child will be combative from the beginning, build shells within them to ensure that they are not hurt again. And that's how they will grow, and those things will manifest in their lives in general, especially relationships across the board. And most of them will turn into things like manipulators and toxic people generally because of that inner wiring. And the other child, same environment, will say, look, as a child I've been hurt. However, I'm going to ensure that no child is hurt like I was. So that child also will build wiring and boundaries within that will ensure that they survive. Where they are not hurt, they will accentuate it. They will make it even worse by adapting and fitting to the circumstances. So later in their lives, that second child may, and I don't mean that it happens to all children that face those situations, they will tend to put themselves second. They will tend to have difficulties saying no. And they will always like to put other people before them, because they had to adapt earlier to safeguard themselves. So that will go into adulthood, and it will manifest through their relationships also. As adults, they may struggle again, say no. They may struggle again, really putting boundaries in their lives, although most of them will actually be good people with great lights inside them. As they grow, what will happen to the first child, tit for tat child? As I've already indicated, they will grow into a world of a little bit chaos and maybe even narcissistic, etc. The second child will probably live in a survival mode to still protect themselves as they did as children. So that will give you a lay down in terms of what we will discuss going further in terms of this kind of life that started so early through pain and maybe through neglect or overlove or overindulgence. And throughout my videos going forward, we'll be going back to touch on that, because the manifestation starts early on with this kind of children. As I've said, everything will manifest later in life through relationships and through decisions that we make in life. I will end up here and just remind you that if you did not see my first video, that I've got the book coming in before the end of this month called Emperor's Tree. In Emperor's Tree, everything I talked about today is discussed in details. So I urge you to buy the book when it comes in.